Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Steph.
I'm Katie. Little Theo is here. Theo, do you want to say hi?
Theo, say hi.
Do you want to say hi? Oh. He always insists on sitting on our lap while we film, which I think is very sweet.
Yeah.
For today's video, we thought we would chat about something kind of fun in January. One of the exciting things about this month is that it is officially 2 years since we became the Burlton family and since I took Steph's name. So we thought we would chat today about that decision and just how it feels 2 years later and everything like that. So let's dive in.
Yeah, we wanted to chat a little bit about just like why we made that decision and why it was right for us and especially important for our little family.
Yeah. So if you haven't been following along for the last few years, if you're new, basically on our 5th wedding anniversary, I really wanted to do something special for Steph because when we got married, when we got engaged, Steph was the one to propose to me. And we always kind of joked that she needed her own proposal one day and that one day I would propose back. So I wanted to do it for our 5th anniversary and make that really special and like surprise her, which is something that's really hard to do and very stressful because Steph like just knows everything and guesses everything.
I pick up on a lot of details.
Yeah, it's impossible to keep a secret. So
but it wasn't impossible because this was a secret.
Yeah.
And you did a great job.
I did do a great job. I'm still very proud of it. But yeah, I decided for our 5th anniversary that I would propose and ask her if I could take her name because it was something I'd been thinking about kind of that whole year leading up and something that I kind of like landed on and decided, and I knew that it would mean a lot to her and it would be something that just would be really nice for our family. So on our anniversary, we did a photo shoot, which was a good way of doing it. I highly recommend. Because it was already like a special day and we were already doing something special, she didn't suspect anything because it was like, this is the special thing. So we did a photo shoot with our wedding photographer and we went back to the place where we took our wedding photos. And we kind of like recreated some of our wedding photos, and that was how I sneaky did it. And it was perfect.
Yeah, Katie did such an amazing job planning it all, and I was very surprised. And even in the moment when I thought, okay, she's up to something, I still didn't know exactly what that was. So when she did propose that she take my name, I was totally shocked, so happy, and it just, I don't know, it felt so special because it just felt like another thing that was really going to bring us together even closer than we already were.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what it did.
Yeah. And I'm glad we waited too. It felt even more special to make that decision later because it felt really intentional, like something we wanted to do and not just like, oh, we're getting married, so one of us should take the other person's name. Because when we did get married, I remember that not really being much of a conversation. We both just kind of like assumed that we would keep our names, and I don't remember it being something that we really discussed. And I think at that time we were both kind of like building individual careers like with our names, and it just wouldn't have made sense. And I don't even really remember if we like talked about it or if it was just
I think we both understood. Just assumed.
Yeah. And then leading up to 5 years married, like so much had changed, as it does. And I got to a point where I just didn't feel like, I don't know, I didn't feel attached to my name the way that I did before. And with like career shifts and just like life shifts, it didn't feel like there was any reason that I needed to keep it. And the more I thought about just what it would look like to share a name with my wife and to just have that like recognition of being a family, just became really important to me and something that I really wanted to do. And I didn't feel attached to my name anymore, and like the thought of letting it go felt totally natural to me. And the people that I like share that name with are people that I don't have relationships with and they're not in my life, and it just didn't feel like something that I needed to hang on to. And I just loved the idea of having the same name as my wife. So it's something that I'm really glad I did. And 2 years later, it's nice to look back on that as just like a big like important decision, I think, in our marriage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this decision was mostly Katie's because it was a more personal decision for her, but I obviously am really happy that she chose what she chose because it does feel like our family kind of comes first, and that's definitely how we how we live our lives is that, you know, this kind of takes priority at the three of us, us with Theo, and he's also a Burlton. And then also just logistically, you know, when we're traveling, having recognition as a family when we might not have our marriage be recognized legally. Sharing a name, I think, gives us a little bit more, gives us some rights that we might not have otherwise, and things like that too. Like those were considerations. Those were kind of like secondary considerations, but definitely things that are beneficial nonetheless. So
I think, I mean, it's such a personal decision. I think for a lot of couples, like when you have children, or if you decide to have children, that's kind of when it's like, oh, do we all want to share the same name? And for us, we knew that that was never going to be a factor, and so I hadn't really thought about the fact that I wanted us to still share a name together. And traveling and in certain circumstances when people are, you know, looking at our IDs and whatever, it is nice to just be instantly recognized as like a union and a family. And also, like our life is just so different now. And 2 years ago when we were coming up on 5 years married, it was so different too from when we got married. And I think like building a business together and all of that, like all the career changes, it also started to make sense to share a name as well. There were just so many things pointing in that direction, and I'm so glad I did it. Looking back, I can't believe it's been 2 years. There are still some things that I need to actually
we have to get on some things. There's still
I've done all the big ones, but there are some lingering where I'm like, oh my god, it's been 2 years, so I need to get on that.
Add it to the list for the year.
That will be on the list for the year. But all in all, it was a great decision. I feel so good about it. I'm glad that I waited and was really intentional about how I did it, and like really took the time to like really think long and hard about it, really investigate my feelings about it, because there's kind of a lot that comes up, and when you're sort of like looking at other people's experiences or talking to people about it, there's a lot of opinions and people have a lot of thoughts about it. And I found that really interesting because like as a queer couple as well, like people just have so many thoughts on it. And I thought it was interesting that people thought like, oh, changing your name is like, you know, subscribing to the patriarchy, and it's just like I either have my father's name or I have your father's name, and it's like those are the options. So
it was more about sharing a name with each other than it was about taking a name as like property of.
Exactly. It didn't feel like that at all. It just felt like a celebration of like my marriage to you, and also like of my queer identity. So it felt like a really positive thing, and I think like at the end of the day, it's such a personal choice, and I think you'll know exactly what's right for you. It is a really big decision. It's your name, and it should be something that reflects you, and it should be something that you feel good about, and it should be something that really like feels like home to you. And I think when you kind of just like take all the other stuff and put it aside and like really just see how it feels like in your heart, you'll know what's the right thing to do.
And like the funny thing is, we never really thought about or talked about keeping our names originally. Like, we put very little thought into that. It was just kind of okay, this is what we're going to do. And, you know, there are so many options, too. It's not just about keeping your name or changing your name to your partner's name. Some people come up with new names or a hyphenated name, or there's so many options, and we've seen so many people do so many different things, and it's really cool because there kind of are no rules. So I mean, there are never rules, but especially with queer couples, there really aren't, you know, set rules, and you can do whatever you want, which is really exciting.
And it's been cool seeing other couples. Like, the more we've talked about it, the more we've heard from other couples what they chose to do, and just all the different things that people can choose, because you're right, there are so many options, which I think is great, and everyone can just do what feels right for them, and that's perfect, and that's how it should be. And logistically, it's not as big of a deal as I thought it was, especially if you are just assuming your spouse's name, because you're not legally changing it. I didn't have to legally change my name. I think legally I can use either name still, and that's easy, and like to have it on all my IDs and everything, I just needed like marriage certificate, and it was super simple. And I think if you're hyphenating your name or obviously using a new name, then you have to go through like more of a legal process. But I didn't have to do that, and it was very simple, even though I am not technically done. So it obviously wasn't that simple. There's just like so many little things, right? But we'll finish that soon.
yeah, so that's kind of our story of how we became the Burlton family. If you are married or planning on getting married, we'd love to know what you're thinking or what you've done, if you've hyphenated, if you've changed your name, if you've assumed your spouse's name, if you've both kept names. We'd love to hear what you chose and how you decided.
All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions about this or anything else really about our life or about our marriage or our wedding or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments or DM us on Instagram, and we're happy to chat. And yeah, like Steph said, we'd love to hear your experiences as well. So yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll have videos coming out on Tuesdays and Fridays, so twice a week. So we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.